There we go. We're live, Sheldon.
We are live, Chev. Welcome to the Ride with Chevy Nasty 2024, our first show coming out of the gates. NFL Super Wildcard Weekend, and your Cowboys, Chev. What the heck happened?
You know, they got spanked. I can't even say anything else, Sheldon. It was the first Sunday all season that for some reason the stars aligned. There was no activities, no one in my house. Me and my son sat down. I made the biggest bowl of popcorn, pulled out all the treats. I was so excited to have 3 hours of free time to watch a game, watch my Cowboys, the team that I played for way back in 2001. I was so excited, Sheldon. And you know what? I felt that feeling a couple of times in my career where it was over before it even started. And that's literally what it felt like. We got spanked.
Well, and if you have a team, you say you spent some time with the Cowboys. Like when you're watching NFL, that is kind of your emotional connected team, right?
Yeah, you know what? I have an emotional connection to all the teams I played for in the NFL. So, the Jaguars drafted me. The Cowboys, I played 8 games for them. That's a big deal when you're coming from Canada. Whether it's 8 games or 8 seasons, it's a big deal playing for the Cowboys. I got the Bengals. They didn't make the playoffs this year, nor did the Jaguars, and then the Jets. But I never tell anyone I cheer for the Jets, but the Cowboys, America's team. This was our year, Sheldon. It was our year, and it turned out not to be.
Yeah, well, guys, today we're going to have a great show. Lots of NFL action this weekend. We're going to take a look at some of the stories that kind of caught our attention, get our takes on that. We're also going to delve into some of the pop culture wars. There's some really interesting stuff if you're following what's going on with Jordan and Pippen, and even Evander Kane. And it's the one story that we're finding is all these ex-greats are having problems with their exes, and it is really coming home here at the start of 2024. Chev, all this and more coming up next on The Ride.
Yeah, Sheldon, it was the NFL Super Wildcard Weekend. We were treated to six great games. I put in my picks this weekend. I'm in a pool. I put in my picks. I got 5 of 6 right, and the one that I got wrong is the one we talked about in the intro. My darn Cowboys, they choked. They choked hard. Like, I don't know. Do you watch that game at all?
Well, yeah. I watched all that game. It was hard to believe what we're seeing. Although history over the last 3 years, they have struggled in the playoffs. They look like a different team, but to come out and look that bad, and you can say what you want about Prescott and the offense, it was bad. But even defensively, they went and overthought themselves. They came out playing that 2 deep zone instead of manning up, and they just didn't. Zone doesn't have to be passive. Zone should be aggressive. When you've got a guy coming across your face, you've got to get on him. You've got to be in his face. You've got to be hard to play against. But it looked like one team showed up to compete where the Cowboys were just, I don't know what I saw from them, but I didn't like it. And it's not acceptable at this point in the season. I was actually shocked by their lack of competitiveness in that game.
Same here. I saw bad Dak, like bad decisions, bad throws. Throws in traffic. It's like he had his eyes fixed on his receiver and didn't see that there was another defender cheating up, whether it was CeeDee Lamb or whoever he was throwing the ball to. It just seemed like he wasn't making reads. And the Packers were all over those receivers. That score, 48-32, is actually flattering to how the Cowboys played. Like, it was ugly. I'm telling you, I'm not lying. That is the first game that I got to sit down for an entirety of. And I wanted to leave midway through. I just sat there. I stayed on my couch. You know why? Because I had a big bowl of popcorn sitting on my belly, and that was comfort food for the disaster I was watching. On the flip side, though, the Packers played an outstanding offensive game. Like Jordan Love, 16 for 21 in his first year as a starter for the Packers. They were coming on strong late in the season, but 272 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, right?
Yeah.
You got Dak on the other side. He threw 2 picks. He could have thrown 4 in that game. And then obviously Aaron Jones, 21 carries, 118 yards, but those 3 touchdowns, right? Like you're supposed to stop a guy when he's running up the middle. Yeah, Jamin's listening and he said that was embarrassing. It sure as heck was embarrassing. And you know what? On that note, I want to say thanks for everyone tuning in tonight. We got AC joining, Rubio's joining, Rob Evans, some of the usual suspects joining us right here every second Tuesday, 11 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Here on the ride, we're on the NGBN.TV network, the network for men. We're here to educate, entertain, and inspire. And as Sheldon mentioned, it's our first show of 2024. Thanks for joining us. I want to dive into a little bit more of the Cowboys. I mean, they got spanked. That's it. Game over. They're going golfing with the Dolphins, with the Eagles. We'll talk about that later. They're out. Okay, but what was said after the game? A lot of speculation that morning before the game, people saying, on Twitter and all that if the Cowboys lost that game, McCarthy out, Belichick in. Now, I don't know if that's the case for sure, but after the game, Dak Prescott addressed some of that by saying, if they're talking about McCarthy, who really gave Dak his shine back this year. McCarthy took over the offense, got Dak on track. They had a great season, but he said it's about winning Super Bowl, the Super Bowl, and that's the standard of the league. And he said something else. He said that's damn sure the standard of this place. Now, Sheldon, those 8 games that you mentioned that I played for the Cowboys, that was in 2001. They have not done anything in the playoffs since before 2001. When I got to the Cowboys in 2001, we were still paying half a salary cap to Deion Sanders, and therefore we sucked. I was part of the suck formula. I'm not disassociating myself from there. But the standard was not the Super Bowl once the triplets left, once Aikman, Irving, and Emmitt Smith was there when I was there. But once the shadow of that team died out, the standard was not a Super Bowl. So I don't know what Dak is talking about.
Well, in fact, if you look at it, the standard has been in their last 12 playoff appearances that they've not made it to the conference final in 12 attempts.
Was it when Tony Romo bumbled the field goal?
But anytime that you've got an owner like Jerry Jones, you're going to have expectations. I mean, he's getting a little older or whatnot, but he's still got his stamp on that team, and he's hungry for another championship. I know what was the last time that they won? Was it 93 or 95? The last year that they won the Super Bowl.
I was in high school, Sheldon.
Yeah.
I was in high school. Like, the standard is not the Super Bowl. Their standard should be, we need to figure out how to win a playoff game and not choke. That should be the standard. Do you think Belichick's going there? Like, does McCarthy get fired after this? Because Jerry Jones was at a loss.
There are a couple ways of looking at it. 3 double-digit win seasons. I mean, that's not bad, and that's hard to win in the NFL, and it's hard to win consistently. But clearly, the way that Dak wasn't ready to go, and the way that defense wasn't competing, there's a problem with the preparation and the way that they go into the playoffs, and that's for the last 3 years. So something has got to change. If you got Jerry Jones as an owner, something's got to change. But Belichick, could you imagine those 2 guys in a room?
Well, this is my thing. Jerry Jones did the Bill Parcells experiment, and Belichick is a Bill Parcells guy, and it didn't work. I think eventually that relationship just didn't work, and Parcells got out of there. If I'm Belichick, I'm calling Bill Parcells. I'm like, what do you think? And, I'm thinking that I love Jerry Jones. He was a great owner to me, but I don't think Bill Belichick is a guy that likes too much meddling. What worked in New England for a long time was Bill Belichick did the football. Robert Kraft owned the building and paid the bills, and it worked. I don't think Jerry Jones is there, especially his son, Stephen Jones. They're heavy-handed, and I don't think they could relinquish that control. So I don't see it. I think you had mentioned, you read somewhere that someone was talking about maybe Deion Sanders.
So, that's it. So I was, the next morning I'm just going through trying to sort through what just happened and what's about to happen next. And it was RG3. I was watching one of his lives, and he says, guys, I've got the answer. And there's only one solution for a guy like Jerry Jones. He wants the Cowboys front and center. He wants all the eyes on the Cowboys. He wants everyone talking to the Cowboys. And after he, like you said, he was handicapped with all those big salaries. Why not bring back primetime? Coach Prime.
Yeah,
I mean, if we're talking, if we've got the players, and they do have the players, right? They've got the guys in the room to win, but they need a culture change. Again, not a regular season culture change. They're fine. But if you want to come in and shake things up, why not look at a Coach Prime? You've got Prescott there for another, keep him in there for a couple more years, because you know the first thing they're going to do is they're going to go out and get his son. They're going to get primetime son in there at quarterback, mentor under Prescott. I don't know. Can you see it? If you, like, as a pro player, could you have a coach like Deion Sanders?
You know, this is the thing. I think sports has evolved. You see it a lot in basketball now. You see it in hockey. You see it in baseball. Guys go not just for the money and not just, but there's a fame element. There's a connection. You know, like when LeBron goes to LA and brings all his guys, and GMs will fire guys that they drafted to bring the guys that he wants. I think that element can exist. I just don't know if with an NFL salary cap era, if Deion has as much effect as he had at the college level, where he could just bring a whole team over and get rid of a team. It's a little different, but you know, I think he could be a popular choice. I think it would be a probably more of a fit than Bill Belichick, in my opinion. But we've seen crazier things happen. So I don't know. It's a very interesting story. I'm bummed that the one game that I got to sit down for the entirety was over before halftime. Because I was really looking forward to that. But you know,
although they did have to put the starters, Green Bay had to put the starters back in there at about the 5-minute mark when it just got interesting enough, right, for a little bit.
Yeah, but that score, like I said, it flattered the Cowboys. But the one thing I'm looking forward to is a little 300-pound poetry. We're kind of middle of the first segment, Sheldon. We better hit it. Jenna, hit us with that nice music.
Florida, it was 40 degrees below freezing. Your poets stayed in all weekend and enjoyed the NFL postseason.
After so much hype, the Cowboys yet again pulled up lame. After getting dominated by the Packers, it was just more of the shame.
The shame or the same?
Shame.
The shame.
Same shame.
No, the same shame. Dolphins are mammals, but their blood wasn't hot enough because that deep freeze got them, and the Chiefs showed that they still got that stuff.
And the Steelers got sent home with the ball in Josh Allen's hands after Bills Mafia showed up and shoveled all that damn snow from the Buffalo stands.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
Lots to talk about: football, pop culture, and more. You know, we got takes on the stories, even if we don't always remember the scores.
Or the names. I don't think we remember the names either. It's the Ride with Chevy and Nasty for the first time in 2024. As this new year begins, who knows what we've got in store? In store for you, for all of you that are joining us tonight on the NGBN.TV network. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Facebook. You could join us on all those social media channels at Chevy and Nasty. We'll bring that up later. So many big things in store that we're going to talk about today. But let's continue with that NFL playoff picture. The game you wanted to go to next, Sheldon, the long-suffering Detroit Lions.
Oh, 65 years, Chef. Can you imagine that? Can you even comprehend that number of 65 years?
Well, I mean, you think about the Toronto Maple Leafs, right? If we're talking relating it to Canada and how long it's been since they've won a championship, but they won a few. Now the Lions won one, but their last playoff win, I believe they said it was 33 years ago, their last playoff win. So they have been long suffering fans. And I know a lot of Detroit Lions fans. They're loyal. They are loyal to their team, right? And they're kind of like Canada's other team. You know, like if you're in Toronto, chances are you're a Bills fan, right? They had a lot of success with the 4-in-a-row teams that lost to the Cowboys. You know, a lot of Canadians love the Bills. Then when Flutie played for the Bills, a lot of Western Canadians started pulling for the Bills. But But that Windsor Detroit corridor is quite heavily popular, and a lot of Canadians really love the Lions. I can't count myself as one of them, but I admire their fan base. I
Yeah.
really do. It's a blue collar fan base, much like the Bills, much like the Browns, much like the Steelers, but they've never really got their shot. Like you said, what, 63 years you said?
Yeah, 63 years. Like
God,
that's an entire lifetime. If you what the stat was, if you're 65 years or older, you haven't seen them win in the playoffs, or you've seen it
God.
once, one time.
Well, and now you've seen it twice. And man, I got to tell you, for me, that was the game of the weekend. I mean, 24-23.
Yeah.
It was back and forth. I mean, so many storylines, Goff getting traded there from the Rams because, they didn't think he could get them to the promised land, and then the Rams win with Matt Stafford, who'd been there forever. And just what a fascinating game, like it was packed.
Yeah,
It was
and the
awesome.
Lions came out hot. Like Goff looked amazing in that first quarter. They absolutely
Yep.
dominated the game right up to halftime. But
Yep.
Stafford is such a warrior. I mean, you saw his finger get busted up. He's bleeding. He's got, the effort that he showed. He almost started winning me over in the second half, how strong he was. But I think the best thing I could say about the Lions, and it was awesome to see him win. I wanted to see him win, right?
Yeah.
But I got the feeling that they found a way not to lose that game because they had nothing going for them in the second half. And you almost felt the hearts of the fans in there. You talk about the way that you felt watching the Cowboys, where you just know something's going to go wrong. I mean, they've got 65 years of things going wrong.
Oh, they were holding
and
their
you could
breath.
just feel that tension in the room.
Oh,
At the end of the day, what sealed it for them?
Well, I mean, I think they. Oh.
Sneak peek alert. And she
Sneak
snuck
peek
that win
alert.
on us.
She snuck it in on us. That's a sneak peek alert. Listen, if you're listening tonight, we knew that was coming. We didn't know when it was coming. Good job, Jenna. You got me. You got us off guard. That's what we wanted. We are going to be doing the NGBN .tv sneak peek alert. So what that means is January 29th, you will be able to download the NGBN.TV network on all your connected devices. You see them below the TV there: Roku, Amazon Fire. It's going to be Amazon TV or Apple TV. And our goal, we want 10,000 downloads. And every device you download the app to will be considered as download. So if you have a phone, a tablet, TV, and a computer, well, every one of those counts as a download. And that's big for us. It's really exciting because the network will be launching. It's going to be a 24-hour continuous stream of on-demand shows, live sports, entertainment, much more. That's where we're going to be on top of all the traditional places. But yeah, we're really excited for that. Thanks for popping that in there, Jenna. That was well placed. To put a cap on the Detroit Lions Rams game, fantastic game. That's a game that I would watch the replay of.
Yeah,
that place, Detroit, has never been that loud since the Hulkster slammed Andre the Giant in the Pontiac Silverdome at WrestleMania 3.
Oh.
It has never been that loud in front of 90,000 fans. Hulkamaniacs.
You know what, though? They did get a little bit of help from the refs at the end of the game, though.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
When the Rams are driving. Well, what are your thoughts on that? Is that like there's such thing as just letting the guys play? But that
my
pass
thoughts are
interference.
this. A few weeks ago, when the Bills beat the Chiefs and Mahomes was whining that the referees took a great play away from the fans, they had thrown the flag before the play was done. No one would have known. But in this case, Puka Nacua had a fantastic rookie season. I love this kid. He balled out in that game. He could have made that catch had he not been held and his arms being tackled before the ball even got to him. So that was a non-call by the refs that really, for me, was the affecting of the outcome of the game, because up until that point, they were even. It was back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And it was one mistake that was going to cost one team the game. And unfortunately, it wasn't a mistake. it was a non-decision. It was a non-decision. So, but you know what? Refs make calls. They get them right sometimes. They get them wrong sometime. In the
I
grand
think he
scheme,
just wanted to get out of the stadium alive. Could you
yeah,
imagine being that ref making that call? 3 minutes
yeah,
left in the game, 2.5 minutes left in the game.
yeah.
But
No,
it did. It had a big impact on the game. I won't say it cost him the game, right? But it had an impact.
yeah, that's one of those games where you wish there was a little more time on the clock to see how it would go. And I think next week we're going to be treated to that with the Bills and the Chiefs, because they have an intense rivalry. But speaking of the Chiefs, Sheldon, I mean, we know they beat the Dolphins. The Dolphins were not made for that weather, and that weather was cold. It was cold here. Like my car registered -35, but it was -47 with the wind chill. Yeah. But it was cold in Arrowhead. It was so cold. And I think we got a graphic here that at one point, Mahomes was diving forward to get a first down, and a chunk of his helmet flew off.
Shattered.
Now, helmets are not made to do that. Like those helmets, the plastic that they use is it's made to take those hits, Sheldon. Have you ever played in a game that cold where you feared your helmet cracking?
I didn't know it was possible, because they're saying it's like -20 Fahrenheit. That's Chev. That is -30 something.
Yes,
I couldn't even conceive of playing in that. Like, and to see what that does to these kind of composite plastics is I can't even comprehend it. I mean, that game's cold. Like I've played in cold games, but I don't think I've ever gone past -10. And in fact, the coldest I've ever felt was on a preseason game in June in the CFL, where it was raining and windy, and I was out like midway through the first or second quarter. Starters get pulled, and we didn't have the warm-up jackets because we weren't expected to be that cold. But I've never played. What about you, Shay? You've played in a few Grey Cups and whatnot. Have you played -20, -30?
You know what, Sheldon? I thought I did, and I thought I was going to have back in my day story. But then when we were actually prepping for the show and I used the magic of the internet, I found out the games that I thought were like -20-degree weather games actually weren't. I played in a really cold game in Winnipeg in 2003 on our Grey Cup season, and it was so cold that I had to hold my hands right up to the heater to keep them warm for snapping, and I burnt off all the hair on my hands. So that's how cold that game was. And then I had played an overtime game New Year's Eve in Cincinnati the year before against the Steelers. And again, I thought that was like probably a -10, -15 game. It was actually probably -1 to -5. So it wasn't that cold, but it did go to overtime. So it made it a little bit colder, but nothing like that. Not like when he played actually 2 or 3 plays with that helmet. Gosh, I was worried for him. Yeah, I was really worried for him. And I'm glad the referees stopped the play, allowed him to change the helmet because player safety. And, not only was it frigid, like those conditions, you saw what it did to the Dolphins. Hats off to the Chiefs for performing the way they did. But at the same time, player safety's got to be paramount in that case. Gosh, Sheldon, this segment, as we always think it won't flew by. A couple of other things, big surprise. Eagles losing to the Buccaneers. People
was that a surprise that they lost though? Like you picked the Bucs.
Oh yeah, I picked the Bucs, but that was my underdog of the week. That was like I always pick one underdog, and that was my underdog. I didn't think they'd have a chance to win. They pulled it off, so that was good. The Bills did what we thought they would do. They'd roll over Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh made a bit of a game. They probably made it more of a game than the Cowboys made against Green Bay. The Browns really impressed with Houston. Taking out the Browns, CJ Stroud,
real deal.
Rookie of the year, most likely, against that Browns defense, and one of the greatest pass rushers in Myles Garrett, and he was able to avoid the rush, make big plays. There was some great football, and it sets up some great matchups next week. For me, the one that I'm looking forward to the most, I have to say, is the Bills Chiefs. The Bills Chiefs is the one that I'm looking forward to. I think Baltimore I think they're gonna take care of Houston. I believe that Detroit's going to come out on top of that one. And I think the Niners are going to come out. But there might be a few surprises. I mean, look what happened to the Cowboys. Sheldon, I want to talk all night. And we will talk a little bit more tonight, but we're going to have to take a break. For all of you guys listening to us, you can also catch this tomorrow or right after the show. It's going to be on YouTube, Facebook. You can follow us on all the social media handles. So we're at Facebook, Twitter, which is now X, YouTube, and it's at Chevy and Nasty. When we come back, we're going to switch gears a little bit, talk about some different things. Right here on the ride.
Attention, gentlemen of distinction. Introducing NGBN.TV, the television network designed exclusively for men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. Your go-to destination for entertainment that speaks to you, inspires you, and celebrates the incredible journey of manhood. And here's the exciting news. NGBN.TV is coming to Roku, Apple TV, Amazon, and your favorite mobile devices. Whether you're a sports enthusiast, seeking self-improvement, or just looking for a good laugh, NGBN.TV has got you covered. Entertainment, inspiration, brotherhood. Coming soon to Roku, Apple TV, Amazon, and mobile devices. NGBN.TV, where men thrive.
And welcome back. It's The Ride with Chevy and Nasty. First show of 2024. Great to be here. And
Sheldon,
as always, we want to thank our...
Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I thought my mic was off for a second. I'm just doing a quick check there.
Do the sponsors. I got to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Go. Who do you want to
You're
thank?
going to ask me a question?
Oh, you want the question first? Yeah, but you got to thank our sponsors.
I'm going to tell you, sir. First, I just want to thank our sponsors, the guys that let us keep the lights on and keep us on the air. And somebody's got to pay for that Roku TV. Chev, we're going to be a TV station, which is
I know.
neat.
That's pretty cool.
I'm excited about that. That's a big deal.
Well, I mean, when I see our faces on the little screen, you know, I mean, I'm not going to speak for you, but I don't think I'm the most attractive dude in the world. I don't know how I'm going to look on someone's 55-inch television screen, but whatever, we'll do it. We'll roll with it. But yeah, no, we got to thank
those studio shots. Move the camera back about 10 feet further back, and well, then I'd be showing off my my middle-aged man belly, my dad bod.
Well, you know what? We'll hit the gym. We'll get a gym to sponsor us. But we got Dream Reach Achieve sponsoring us. I think we forgot to mention in the first segment because we're so excited to talk about my bloody Cowboys and We Drone. Any of you listening out there, if you want to sponsor the show, give us a shout. We'd be glad to take you on. We are on the ride. Sheldon, do you know what date it is today?
Well, it's the actual date, January 16th.
Yeah. So January 16th, Sheldon, I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you a little story. I was in Edmonton last week, and I went to McDonald's with my kids, and we ordered takeout from the little touch screen. And when I got to the counter, the lady put my food on a tray, and it clearly said on my bill takeout. So I said to the lady, I said, I need a bag because we're getting in the car. We're heading back home. And she's like, oh, well, it's 15 cents per bag. And I was like, pardon me? Like, what do you mean? She's like, well, you got to pay 15 cents a bag. And I was like, 15 cents, but your business is takeout. How do I take it out if I don't get a bag? And she just kind of looked at me and shrugged her shoulders. And I was like, okay, boys, we're eating in the restaurant. So I grabbed the food on the tray. I sat down, but I realized we really had to go. So I grabbed my burger in one hand and my fries in another hand and my drink in another hand. And my boys all did the same. And I saw they were looking to see my reaction because I was actually kind of angry. I had a hard week the week before, and we'll talk about that in a minute. I was just looking for something to go right. And next thing you know, I'm looking at my coffee. I'm like, how the heck am I going to get my coffee in my hands? And my boys were looking at me, and I could see they were smirking because they were waiting to see how I was going to solve this problem because we were trying to get to the car. So basically I said, screw it. I put everything back on the tray and I marched out in a huff. Like I must have looked really funny.
Good
and
for you.
I went to the car. I threw all my stuff in the car and my cup holders, and then I left the tray outside on the trash bin. Like that was my protest.
Yeah.
I left it outside. You had someone from that McDonald's have to walk across the parking lot to get those 2 trays. It was actually 2 trays stacked because I'm mad that I wasn't going to pay 15 cents for a bag. Now I find out that this is actually a bylaw. That was a bylaw in Edmonton that started January. I actually started, I believe, in the summer, but Calgary, it started today. The single-use single-use item bylaw, not single-use plastic, single-use items bylaw. And we talked about it before, and it set you off. And I see you're getting ready. You're fuming. Go ahead.
It drives me crazy. Absolutely crazy. So here's what happens when you're in COVID and everybody's working from home, and you get all these progressives coming up with their bright, brilliant ideas of how they're going to put their stamp on the world. I did a deep dive in this after. I was so mad when you told me about this today. My wife picked up Wendy's for the boys on her way back from work today, right? Same thing, 15-cent charge on the bag. Now, I love this planet, and believe me, I was tired of the waste. When you've got all these plastic bags that you don't need, I'm fine with that. When you're throwing ketchup and salts and peppers into the bag that I didn't ask for, I'm fine with that. I don't need those. But a paper bag, I do need it. It is this takeout. So I listened to their argument for 1 second. So I went on the city site, and I'm listening to, again, a lot of progressives talking about how this is going to change. And I think Calgarians maybe wanted this long before, and we're going to change behavior of people. You don't have to change my behavior. If you come up with a policy that makes sense for me, I will do it. I will follow it. Don't want to use plastic? No problem. I'll work around plastic. But their argument was this is going to help people reduce waste. It's not going to reduce waste because when you go to the drive-thru, they still give you the bag. They don't give you an option not to take the bag.
Actually, they do now, Sheldon. They
charge you 15 cents. You're not reducing waste at all. How about this? From now on, just like put it onto a platter. Don't wrap the sandwiches. If you want to stop waste, right? Just give me the bloody sandwich, or give me a plate that I can bring back to you next month when I come by. But you're not reducing waste with this. I'm fine. You know what? We overuse plastic, but we're still overusing plastic because of the lids, right? Because everything that they get sent to the store, every time you go to the grocery store, everything's wrapped in plastic. This isn't an effective way of doing it. I'm happy to bring a reusable bag to the grocery store, but if I'm going to a drive-thru, don't pretend that charging me 15 cents for a bag that you're going to give me anyway is going to cut back on waste. It's ridiculous.
Well, you know, Sheldon, I work for the city, right? So I want to really choose my words carefully. I understand, like you said, waste and making sure that we're and I'm choosing my words carefully because I don't want to get
well,
fired.
Technically you're talking about Edmonton's policies here.
Yeah, Edmonton's policies, but I'm all for it. Like, just like you, I understand that. But it really got me thinking, like, yeah, I don't take ketchup with my fries. So when I look down the bag and there's 5, because they just grab a handful and throw them in.
I don't think they do that anymore, though. I think they've already stopped that.
But the bag thing kind of bugs me because your business is takeout. Like, and I don't think a bag costs 15 cents. A paper bag can't cost 15 cents. And I'm going to argue that the bag is not single use. Like, the first use is when it delivers my food to me. That's the first use. But the second use is when it sits on the floor of my car for 2 weeks, collecting all the trash and the dirty Kleenex until I decide to pull it out. There's a multiple use there. So I think it's quite useful. Now, I'm not going to say it's worth 15 cents because I'm cheap as hell.
No.
So but I get it. There's different ways. There's different ways of constructing this. I was actually thinking about this. You said you went in a deep dive. My thoughts are spiraling. It's like when you go to Costco, I think I'm a little bit more comfortable in the grocery store because Costco, when you go to that store, they give you a box, right? They reuse all the boxes that their products came in. So they're no longer single use. But if you think of all the people that bring boxes home from Costco and just shove them into recycling, hopefully, couldn't there be a situation where Costco repossesses all those boxes that delivered bananas or fruits where they could be reused instead of having all those boxes go through a recycling facility and recycling a box to ship boxes back to Costco, bananas back to Costco.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's a more effective strategy there where companies should be a little bit more socially responsible, because there's a ton of waste there. Like, if I'm not using the box from Costco and I don't throw it in recycling, that box could theoretically still be reused to get bananas back in the store. They would just have to ship them back to the banana guy, and the banana guy, instead of ordering new banana boxes, he'll just reuse those boxes. But the problem is, the packaging industry is a multi-billion-dollar business industry, just like McDonald's is. And for me, 15 cents for a paper bag is absolutely ridiculous.
And the 15 cents goes towards the store. It doesn't go towards.
Like, everything's risen. Everything is risen in price, and you're going to charge me an extra 15 cents. And now in certain jurisdictions, I think in Vancouver, I was reading this, they charge you 20 cents for a single-use coffee cup. So if you don't bring your own cup in, okay, they will charge you 20 cents. So for the bag and the cup, they're already making 35 cents clear on your order. So I agree.
Here's one more thing too on that. I see Rubio agrees with us, but if I remember correctly, Rubio says he doesn't even like turkey or Thanksgiving dinner. So I don't know how credible he is as an opinion on the show. But even when we got plastic bags, when you go for groceries and you got a plastic bag, what did you do with those plastic bags? Now, for us,
for my dog poop.
We had a bin that went in under the sink, and that became our garbage bag. It went into maybe a bathroom garbage can, or the little garbage can in the kitchen, or it was reused for something, a garbage for a road trip. They got reused, right?
Yeah, they got reused. I had
at
two
the end
dogs.
of their life, hopefully they got recycled. I'm still fine with cutting out some plastics, right? But none of this makes any sense to me. You might as well give me my coffee without a cup, because that's a single-use cup too, right? Like, anyway, that's Chev. That's all I've got on this. Oh, one last thing. So if you want to get a common sense approach, talk to a farmer. So there's this ranch a couple hours outside of Calgary where we order our like organic beef bones for broths and chicken and all this different stuff, right? And what they do is you make your order online. They use technology. They deliver to your house the next Tuesday in this nice little bag that keeps everything cold. And they ask that you put it back on your front steps, because on their way back out of town to the ranch, they come by and they pick it up and use the same bag over and over and over again. It makes sense. It works. I'm not saying McDonald's should start reusing bags for guys like us or things like that, but I'm tired of policies that don't work, because you know what? Policy matters.
Policy does matter. And you know what, Sheldon? We're going to move on, because I have a feeling we're going to overtime again tonight. Yeah, Sheldon's mad. Well, we're gonna change gears on you. We had a couple of things we want to hit the segment. I don't think we're gonna hit them all, but we're gonna hit the next one. So here I am, Sheldon. I like sports, I like music, I like movies, I like everything. I turn on Facebook.
Damn straight, Jamin.
Yeah,
it's tiring. It is tiring. Okay, keep going, Chef.
No, so I'm on Facebook, okay, and this, I get some, algorithm, whatever, feeds me, whatever. And I see a story, and it was one of these clickbait stories. This Larsa Pippen and Marcus Jordan, are getting serious. It was actually talking about their sex life. I was like, "Whoa, I'm going to read this." So here I am thinking, man, Scottie Pippen's daughter and Michael Jordan's son, they must have grown up in the locker room together. This sports love story, thinking, oh yeah, this is cool. So I'm reading about it. It's kind of awkward that they're throwing their sex life out there. But then next thing you know, I start reading, and I had no clue about this. Marcus Jordan, so Michael Jordan's son, the heir to his empire, is not dating Scottie Pippen's daughter. He is dating Scottie Pippen's ex-wife. Like, I was floored. Like
16 years older than him.
It's not the age difference, Sheldon. I don't care about the age difference. I'm 11 years older than my girlfriend, Brittany. We're cool with that. Age difference don't matter. But this is your teammates. Like, you guys were the Bulls. You guys won all those rings. Your champs, Pippen, Jordan, and
they're already having a beef, though, right? Because after the documentary, right? Where Jordan was given full executive editorial control, it became the Jordan documentary. And Pippen was hurt, and rightly so, right? And Jordan is that competitive. He's only going to dish out the ball if he thinks it's going to score a point. Otherwise, he's got control of the rock. He did the same thing with the show. Pippen's tired of his crap, and they're beefing publicly. And then this.
Oh my God!
His
Like,
son, do you know what this means, though?
What's that?
This means, okay, so this means that Marcus Jordan is going to be the stepfather to Scottie Pippen's kids. This means that when Scottie Pippen is paying child support and alimony, it's going to the Jordan family legacy.
Oh my God!
Could you imagine that? That TV that he really wanted to keep, that stayed with the ex, that's now Marcus Jordan's TV. Are you kidding me?
Oh my God! It'd be like,
how do you get out of that? But even in Michael's defense, even Michael was like, when they asked him, and this goes back a few months ago when I first followed this, and I just saw it and I just moved on because I just couldn't comprehend it. But they asked Michael Jordan what he thought of this. He goes, "Yeah, I don't support it at all," and good for him.
Yeah, and she said she was traumatized by those comments. But
yeah, but now she's on the air, not just talking about their sex life. She said he was better than Pippen. More. Dude, I feel gross just saying that.
Well, and I'm sure that in relationships all around the world, things like this go on. There's some things that go on,
James says, "Hey, the son wasn't his teammate." Dude, you're missing the point.
There's things that go on, but their relationship has been, as the cool kids say, on blast since the 80s and 90s. And this just, it's like everyone is privy to this train wreck and you can't look away. And you know what's going to happen. Listen, if I'm Michael Jordan, and from all I know, I'm not the biggest basketball fan. I watch the documentaries. I admire him. I'm not a fan, but I admire his body of work and what he's done as a businessman.
The second greatest of all time.
Second, but what strikes me and what comes across is he was very close with his father.
Yeah.
His relationship with his father was very tight, like his best friend, in fact. And when his father died, got gunned down on the side of the road, that was had a big impact on his life. And that whole father-son legacy impact has got to be a huge conversation for him and his son, who doesn't have a child. And this lady is not able to bear him a child anymore. I believe she's 48 years old. And I think actually she had mentioned somewhere that she can't bear children anymore. So I have 3 kids of my own. My girlfriend has 3 kids of her own. I love my kids. I love her kids. I have a lot of space in my heart for children. I have love. I have love in my heart. But I got to tell you, you got to know what that love is to give that love. And I don't think that Marcus Jordan, not having kids of his own, will know exactly what it is to be that dad. And he's going to be the stepdad to Scottie Pippen's kids.
Okay. Now I'm going to step in for 1 sec. I think, first off, I've seen a lot of adopted children that are absolutely loved by their parents that couldn't have kids. But what the way I see this here is, this is a legacy ender on 2 sides, right? And that's really what it comes down to for me. And I'm sorry, I guess love is love, right? Love is love.
Love is love.
But I have a hard time believing that this is love. Chevy, are we really going into this?
No. Well, you know what, Sheldon? This is Hollywood pop. This is why we called it Talking Trash. We could have a take on this, but this is the thing. If I'm MJ, I'm sitting my son down saying, "Listen, kid, when I'm gone, it all goes to you. And then it all goes to your stepkids." And I don't know if I'm okay with Pippen finishing number 1. Because I was number 1. Jordan was number 1. You said it. He wanted to be number 1. So I think he's having a talk with his son in a year or 2 before the ring gets out, being like, "Listen, kid, you need." He's going to tell him, "Listen, I hate, for lack of a better word, he's going to say, there's plenty of fish in the sea. I need a grandchild. That's what I need."
Yeah.
That's what I need. Sheldon, we were going to talk Killer. Yeah, not named Pippin. We were going to talk Killer AI. We're going to talk Evander Kane. We have no time for any of that. We're coming up on the commercial break. We want to give you that socials graphic so you know where to find us. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We're at Chevy and Nasty. We're here on the NGBN.TV network. We mentioned January 29th is the sneak peek. That's where you pull out all your devices, your phone, your tablet, whatever you got. You download the NGBN.TV app on your Roku, smart TV, Apple, Amazon.
Your kids' phones, your wife's phones, your girlfriend's phones, your mom's phones. We're really trying to make this a big thing because it's going to get us trending, and that's going to let us reach more people. And that's really what we're asking of our loyal listeners, guys. Get behind this. Listen to Chev.
More men, more empowerment, more education, more entertainment, more inspiration, more talking trash. When we get back, Sheldon, we're going to change it up a little bit. We're going to talk something a little heavy. We lost a good friend last week. We'll talk about when we get back right here on The Ride.
I came to win, yeah, I came to win. I came to win, yeah, I came to win. I came to win, yeah, I came to win. Can't no one stop me, yeah, bring it in. I came to win, yeah, I came to win. Top down, faded windows tinted. Push it with it, push it.
Are you a business owner or sales professional and want to build and maintain a peak performing premium pricing sales team? Are you and your team finding it difficult to work with clients you want to at the premium prices you deserve? The Professional Sales and Execution Certificate Program will dismiss the sales myths that have limited you and your team and stalled your complete company's growth. Learn all about our PSE secret weapons, including the 98.2 premium presentation that helps build a high-ticket repeat sales network. These absolutely dead simple secret weapons allow you and your team to be yourself and utilize extremely powerful ways to decide which clients you want to work with. If you're ready for a high energy and high power training session that will completely transform you and your team into the envy of your industry, simply click here and register and book now. Get started on your premium pricing high ticket sales execution journey now.
Attention, gentlemen of distinction. Introducing NGBN.TV, the television network designed exclusively for men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. Your go-to destination for entertainment that speaks to you, inspires you, and celebrates the incredible journey of manhood. And here's the exciting news. NGBN.TV is coming to Roku, Apple TV, Amazon, and your favorite mobile devices. Whether you're a sports enthusiast, seeking self-improvement, or just looking for a good laugh, NGBN.TV has got you covered. Entertainment, inspiration, brotherhood. Coming soon to Roku, Apple TV, Amazon, and mobile devices. NGBN.TV, where men thrive.
Sheldon, we're back.
The hard end. There we go. You ready to go?
The heart. You know what? A quick wrap up on that last segment. First of all, if you saw a commercial from some NGBN.TV merchandise, you can go to the website, go to the store, use the promo code RIDE10. You get 10% off your purchase. Now, we have two kind of chat windows going on. We have the public comments, and then we have Jenna giving us a little bit of the scoop. She says that Marcus and Larsa Pippen are engaged, and that Marcus asked Michael to be the best man at his wedding. This story just gets weirder and weirder and weirder and weirder. But, you know, Sheldon, the intrepid reporters that we are, we're going to have to keep on it. Thank you for everyone joining us. We're getting some awesome comments from Nana Mama Takeout Bags. You know, we have some great people joining us, giving us some great comments. We love hearing from you. This network is about community. We chose a late night television show on purpose. We know you're laying in bed. We know you're hanging out. You're thinking, oh, what am I going to do? Same old, same old. Join us. We never know what we're going to talk about. We have a plan. We don't necessarily always stick to it, but we're happy to be with you here tonight on the NGBN.TV network. Remember, January 29th, download that app to all your connected devices, phones, tablets, computers, your kids. We want 10,000 downloads. We want this launch to be big, 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 big. Yeah, there it is. Sheldon, you told me something before we left. It was, I think it was the 19th of December. That was our last show. We did a Christmas special. We had a bunch of our good friends from the network on. We introduced people. We got a 2-hour show out of it. We were so pumped. We were so excited.
Pumped up. We were so pumped up. We were going to do an extra show the next week.
Yeah.
Right?
And there was something.
And then New Year's. And we talked about one of the stories that I brought up to your Facebook post about the meaning of the Christmas tree, about how in your darkest year, that was putting up the Christmas tree has always been your step to the holidays. And we agreed that Christmas is a choice. But sometimes, guys, sometimes, as everybody here knows, sometimes we're looking forward to an amazing Christmas. Sometimes it's not, right? And sometimes Christmas for a lot of people can be the hardest time of the year. And this year in the Chevy Nasty family, man, I felt like we couldn't get a break.
No.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll just build on your point before we go a little deeper. Right after you said something that the whole episode, we had such a great episode, but you said something to me that when you said Christmas is a choice, it really hit home for me. And I remember the next day I took a picture of my Christmas tree. I posted it on Instagram and Facebook, and it was the Wednesday the 20th. And I said, I choose joy. And I said, Merry Christmas to everyone. That was my only thing. There wasn't a big preachy thing. I had that big Christmas tree post from the year before. I just choose joy. And the next day I got news that rocked my entire world, Sheldon. I got a call at 8:30 in the night, and we lost my brother-in-law. So my sister's husband, he passed away quite suddenly, and I don't wish to share the details because they're not mine to share. But he left a huge hole in our lives. This was not just my brother-in-law; he was my best friend, or he was my brother, and we were like best friends because I could completely be myself with him. We spent the last 5 years of vacations, whether me going to live with them for 3 weeks at a time with my boys, or them coming here this summer. We were family. That's what I chose with my vacation time. It was chose to be with him, to my sister and their 3 little girls. And unfortunately, he left us way too soon. And the very next day I was on a plane, Sheldon, and I went home, Christmas time where you're expecting it to be a joyous occasion. And it was a nightmare scenario. It was a nightmare scenario having to deal with my 3 nieces, 13, and 2 twins, 10 years old, breaking the news to them that their father's no longer with us, and the entire family, and the impact it had. And then just watching my sister, peeling her off the ground, and she loved him with all her heart. This was a great relationship. They traveled the world together. They did everything for their kids. They had great event. I don't want to go on to just how great he was and how great they were, but man, that was a week that I didn't expect. And it was transformative. It was tragic. It was terrible. Everything all at once. I can't even tell you what it felt like and the roles that I had to play from the 21st on the Thursday night till when I got back a week and a half ago, whether it was planning funerals, whether it was, peeling my sister off the phone so she could get the business done when someone dies, because it's not even about grieving. It's about moving them to the next step and the next step and the next step. And then going from that to trying to create a Christmas for those 3 little girls. And I tell you, Sheldon, those words of yours, Christmas is a choice, really, I really had to dig deep in that week. And we all did. We really had to dig deep during that week. And I tell you, we did, because in all the misery, all the tragedy, we gave those girls a great Christmas. Now, of course, I had to leave my kids behind. I didn't see my kids for Christmas or New Year's, but this was important. It was important for me to be there for my sister, for her family, for my entire family, and just to help them. But yeah, we chose joy on Christmas, and we were able to celebrate and give those girls joy. And for me, I have to say, the most beautiful thing I saw was, I was sleeping on my dad's, my dad who had passed. I was sleeping on his old reclining lazy boy, a spring in my back for an entire week. I was sleeping on that. And on Christmas Day, the girls run down at 8 a.m. or whenever they wake up. And what I saw was beautiful. It wasn't them going to look for their gifts. It was them going to find the gifts they bought for each other and for their mom. And that was cool to watch. Now, I haven't had, I mentioned this on the show, the Christmas show. I haven't had, and I didn't expect this, I haven't had the kids opening the gifts under the Christmas tree. I actually mentioned that on our Christmas episode. I haven't had that for 7 years. And I forgot what that was like. But gosh, this was special to see. Like, under such tragic circumstances, to see such a beautiful display. These girls brought joy into our lives for that brief day. And then, of course, we went back to the sadness, the stages of grief. And it was tough. It was tough, but we got through it.
You texted me that morning and you said that, the one night, because I know, right? I was with you through that, and I know how hard that had been. I have no concept of how hard that was, but you did an amazing job. But when you sent me that little message of hope in the morning that the girls woke up with that spark and they were taking care of each other, that's amazing. Christmas can be hard, and I don't know if we're kind of. I want to touch on a couple other things here too.
I think Sheldon,
unless you got something else you want to say about that.
Well, I want to say this. It was tough. We got through. We're still grieving. There's still these days where, I wish I was back there helping out, but I can't be. I've got to be here, but I check in on my sister often. We're coming up against it. So we know that when we're on the network, 58 minutes is our cutoff, and we're going to have to end the show at 58 minutes because it cuts off whether we like it or not. But we're going to do this again when we're on the network. If we go overtime, you just flip to YouTube. You catch us on YouTube. You want to catch the next show in order on the network, you stay on the network. But I think tonight, Sheldon, we definitely need to do a little bit of overtime to pay this segment the justice that we did. So, I got back. I missed Christmas and New Year's with my boys. When I did get to see them, I created a little bit of Christmas with them. We did the gift exchange. I brought them to Edmonton, to the water slides, because that was going to be my gift to them. I needed that. I needed that day before they went back to school and back to hockey and everything back to normal. I needed that one day where I can enjoy them. We went to my girlfriend's house and we had Christmas with her kids and my kids. And we just had such a great moment. And again, you really empowered me when you said Christmas is a choice. Your joy is a choice. And that really helped me, because I knew that as terrible as I was feeling, I could choose to have joyous moments with my family. And I did. And again, it doesn't take away the pain. It doesn't take away the suffering, doesn't take away the sorrow, and it doesn't bring him back. But it sure as heck helps get you to the next step when you could find a little bit of joy. And I saw it on Christmas Day with my nieces. I saw it on New Year's Day with my nieces when we went back to their house for the first time, because we were all staying at my mom's house. And then I had it a little bit the week after when I was reunited with my boys, my girlfriend Brittany and her kids. And it was nice to slowly get back to normal. And then we got hit with some more bad news, Sheldon?
You know what? We've lost a couple of mutual teammates here over the last couple of weeks, but I think we're going to take that into the second break, because I do want to take a second and talk about him. But guys, to all of you guys that are listening, we have a lot of fun on the show. Chev and I, we've been buddies forever. You know why we do this show? It's because we got sick and tired of life kicking us in the teeth. So we rebranded Band of Brothers, and we take this on together. He's my support. I'm his support. And for any of you guys that are going through that rough time, you got to be strong for everyone else. But we know what's going inside the head sometimes when things aren't going well. Guys, reach out to your connections, reach out to the helplines. There's always reach out to the network. We'll set you up with somebody that you can talk to. Maybe you guys are doing great. I hope you're having a fantastic night. Just saying, we've been there, guys, and never be afraid to reach out. But with that, Chev, I think we're going to go to break. When we come back, for those of you that want to follow us on YouTube and Facebook, we're going to do a little bit of overtime, a tribute to 2 teammates that we lost over Christmas, and a few more shenanigans as well. So stay tuned, guys. Check us out on our socials. We'll be right back here on The Ride.
I can't win, yeah, I can't win. I can't win, yeah, I can't win. I can't win, yeah, I can't win. Can't no one stop me, yeah, bring it in. I can't win, yeah, I can't win. Top down, faded windows tinted. Pushing with it, push it to the limit.
We're back.
Just enough time for a quick toast to those that we've lost. Yeah, welcome back, guys. It's The Ride with Chevy Nasty. And yeah, we're not trying to bring things down too much, but you know what it's like when you lose a teammate. And for those of you guys, the Canadians listening here right now, and the guys based in Calgary, they know exactly what we're talking about. But it started while Chevy was gone. He reached out to me to let us know that we lost another mutual teammate as well. And this guy's somebody that you guys don't know. You've never heard of him. His name's Craig Borgenson, and he was a teammate of mine with the North Battleford Vikings years ago. And I honestly haven't seen him in 15 years. But he was that kind, sweet kid that was just amazingly fast, worked super hard. Nobody had a bad word to say about him because he was everyone's friend. He was there for everybody. He was so good. He got recruited out of the Vikings program, and he goes to McGill, becomes a Redman. You guys were actual teammates. Is that correct?
Yeah, we were teammates at McGill. Borgie was his name. He was running back. We had a long line of great running backs at McGill. Started with the great Michael Souls, if you remember that name. And there's always been a real neat heritage of running backs coming out of McGill. And Craig was the next big guy. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, you might have to correct me on this. Coming out of North Battleford, the big thing on him is that he had broken all of Ruben Mays' high school records. And that's how Ruben Mays, who went from North Battleford to the NFL, started with the New Orleans Saints, I believe, was a hero, right? Local legend.
Oh, for sure.
And Borgie broke all his records, and he was the kindest, nicest, unassuming guy. He was in phys ed, so I was in phys ed. When I got that news on, it was actually New Year's Day, so I was still dealing with my the loss of my brother-in-law. And I tell you, it was a weird feeling because I was so empty, Sheldon. Like I didn't have capacity anymore. And it was just heavy. And I remember sharing it with you because we did have that connection. And I had been chatting with you while I was gone. It's hard to keep up with everyone and everything going on, but you were one of the few people that I was still connecting to back here just so I could have some semblance of normal. And then this comes up and same like you. If you said you hadn't seen him in 15 years, you probably meant 30 years because it's that long ago since you're in high school. And same for me. I hadn't seen him since I left McGill. I reconnected with him on Facebook a couple of years ago, but yeah, nothing, we didn't really chat and stuff. And he was into some holistic medicine and not sure exactly what he was doing, but it sure was a shock. And it's always a shock when you hear the news of a former teammate, someone that you went, I guess, I hate to use the term go to battle when you talk about football because we don't really go to battle. We go to play, but it's tough when you hear that because you got stories and you got memories. And when you think about the person, memories and stories that lay dormant for years and years, all of a sudden pop up. And that's kind of how it felt with him. And it was really sad. And, I wish his family all the best because I obviously, the trauma of losing someone way before his time. Obviously, he was probably, I believe he was 45. Yeah. He was a couple years younger than me. I feel for their family. And then, get back to Calgary. I'll tell you that week back, it was very hard for me to get back to normal. Very hard to get back to normal. I was dreading the following week getting back to work. I was on bereavement leave and I just felt like I couldn't put it together. Yeah. And then we got the terrible news last Sunday that our former teammate with the Calgary Stampeders, all-star punter, Burke Dales passed away. And that one hit pretty hard. That one hit pretty hard because, we and, he was my punter. We spent a lot of years with Burke. I spent 8 seasons throwing the ball between my legs to Burke. He spent 8 seasons looking at my ass every day. And we had a ton of good memories, and it's tough to see to hear that news. I heard it a couple of years ago when Mike Labinjo passed away. I heard it, when Dorian Boos, another former teammate in Edmonton, passed away. But I worked every day closely with Burke, and gosh, I didn't see it coming. And I know this is a heavy episode, and a lot of people you are wishing us your condolences. We really appreciate that, but we just really want to, make sure that people understand that the show's not just about laughing and joking around. It is that, but it's also about addressing some serious issues. And in this moment, we definitely want to say some words to cherish our old buddy.
And let's face it, like we know, some of you guys we haven't met personally out there. Some of you guys we know, but you guys know the connection that we're talking about, right? And you're in that age group that we're in right now, and you know exactly what it means to lose friends before their time, right? Some of them were preventable, some of them weren't, but every one of those lives loss is tragic. And again, guys, I think this is maybe just more for Chevy and I to share our grief and give a little bit of a tribute to some guys that we loved, and I will say we went to battle with, right? Not overseas, but guys that we shared a lot of moments with, and they're now gone. And that feeling that we all get, I thought I would see them again. I thought there's more time. Yeah. So anyway, Chev, I don't know if you have a glass to raise, but my wife brought this one into me, so you can drink your tea or whatever you're having. But
I got my water now. I was gonna get a drink, but I didn't have a chance. Here's to Burke,
and Borgie,
and Borgie. Do you have any good Burke stories?
Burke. So, I'm not sure how many that you can tell on the air, but no, I'm just kidding. Burke was a great guy. Like we were roommates for a little bit early in his career. He was just one of those guys, like on the road. He was just one of those guys that brought fun to everything, right? Like he was that alpha male with the big personality. He was a guy that, like, for a punter, right? Which some people like long snappers, are they part of the team? Or are they not part of the team? Burke was part of the team. He was 6'4", 220 pounds. He loved nothing more than to lay guys out. But my favorite thing with him is sometimes he wasn't the best teammate. Like you're sitting there on the 45-yard line and Burke's coming out, and he had a massive leg, right? He was signed with the Steelers for a little while, and they're like, okay, Dickie's like, okay, we're going to kick this thing. We're going to aim for the corner. Burke's like, yeah. Gets out there. Fuck that. Boots a thing through the back of the end zone just to show off that cannon of his. Yeah. Right. No, and it's just the way he was just such a dominant guy out there. And everybody loved him. Right. They loved what he brought. You just felt like you're stronger when Burke was around. You felt like things were better when Burke was around. He could take a bad situation and he just looked at things differently than anybody else that I'd ever known before. Right.
Well, he was a glue guy, right? Like you hit the nail on the head. Sometimes the kickers historically weren't looked at as real football players. I think that's changed a little bit. You look at that
was more a dig at you and long snappers, because I'm going to say that every chance I get. But
the thing, something I want to share about Burke is we were actually adversaries in college. So he played for Concordia University, and there's always a line on a player, right? Sheldon, hit him in the ribs, and he's
was Svetkovic's long snapper?
No,
he never really was a long snapper.
Oh, he wasn't a snapper, but he was his good buddy. But so the line was, our coach, our special teams coach would say, listen, when you run by Burke and he's about to punt the ball, and you're forcing the punt, say something about his mom, because he is going to go off. He's going to just forget about punting. He's going to start punching. He's going to take a 15-yarder. And that's what we did. And that's what he did. Like Burke was notorious for losing his lid and taking penalties in college. And you thought, oh gosh, this guy's a nut job. But when you become his teammate, you realize that the love he had for his mom extended to everyone around him, from teammates to family members to friends. Like Burke was a real loyal guy, and he had your back on the field. He had your back in the bar, and he had your back in the alleyway. And that was Burke Dales. Like he had your back. He had a big heart. He was just the funniest guy. I couldn't put it this way. I couldn't hang out with him because he went a little bit too hard in the paint. But I told Burke, I spoke to him a year ago, and and it was public. He had a medical issue. He was in the hospital. He was in a medically induced coma for a few days. I believe he had some seizures, and I messaged him. I didn't see him regularly after we both ended our playing days. You know, you're looking for a career, you have family, all that stuff. Well, at least I did. But I reached out to him. I said, Burke, you know, I said, I couldn't hang out with you, but man, my door was always open for you. I love you, man. And, you know, I sent him a message in November just to see how he was doing about a year removed from his hospital stay. I had seen he was working up in the oil patch up north, you know, through LinkedIn. He was posting some stuff, but yeah, like you said, I thought I'd have one more conversation, and you know, I couldn't get out to the memorial that the service that they had for him last week. I know you went out, you saw some of the old teammates, and
Yep.
and I'm sure it was nice to kind of get back, and obviously under some ominous circumstances.
But that's how it goes,
guys.
isn't it? Like, and it's cliche, but it's the truth, right? It's tragedy that brings us together. But yeah, it's sad about Burke. But yeah, it was great to see some of the guys that you hadn't seen for a while, right?
Yeah,
And
no,
and
I was going to say one of the things about Burke is whenever he kicked the ball, like if we were kicking at McMahon, he always tried to hit the speaker at the
Yeah.
top. You know, but every time he hit that, he said, "This is a bomb. That's a bomb." And he'd always say it's a bomb. And then he would kick into his net, you know, on the side. And you couldn't tell if it was off the side of his foot or he shanked it. But every time he hit the ball,
Bomb.
that's a bomb, Chev. A bomb. And he had just this tremendous language. Like he had all these weird expressions that I'd never heard of before. Like,
Burkeism.
you know, when you see someone and, you know, guys call each other bro, and Burke was like, "Hey, guy, how you doing, guy?" And guys adopted the Burke Dales language across the league. Like anyone he ran into in the 8 or 9 team league used some form of Burke Dales expression, whether it was like, "Let the big dogs eat," or he had so many, and he's pretty infectious, and he sure is going to be missed. Again, feel tremendously for his family. No one wants to, I know what that call feels like. I know what that call feels like. I felt it 2 weeks earlier. It's the most terrible thing you can ever go through, and then trying to pick yourself up and you know, give a proper goodbye. So I hope this was a nice tribute to Burke. Burke, we're going to miss you, buddy. I'm going to miss you. I enjoyed all my years working with you, and yeah, cheers. So Sheldon,
Well, I got a story to transition. I got a story to transition out of that a little bit. So I was watching the news earlier today, because you know me, I'm a news junkie.
Yeah.
And you made me think of this when you brought up WrestleMania. I don't know what year it was, 93 or whatever, in Pontiac, 80. Yeah. So this 17-year-old teenage girl in Florida was driving along, and she got in an accident, flipped her car, crunched it up really good. And do you know who ran up to her car, punctured the airbag with a ballpoint pen, ripped open the door, and got her out of the car? Hulk freaking Hogan.
Today.
Like, how cool is that?
Oh,
yeah, today. I just saw it on the news. I don't know all the details, but I just thought about, like, you know, what's it like when you step into like the hero, and she probably doesn't know who the guy is, but I saw in the clip, he's got his bandana on, all that. He goes around in character as a Hulk. That's just him,
Hulk
right?
Hogan all day long.
I got saved by Hulk Hogan. You know, and then it reminded me of another story. Like, you know, Harrison Ford, right?
Yeah.
Well, obviously, you know Harrison Ford. I mean, from Star Wars and so many great movies, now Yellowstone, but
not Yellow. Is he on Yellowstone? No, that's Kevin Costner.
1923. He's in 1923.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Sorry if that's a spoiler alert for you if you haven't watched it yet, but like one of the spin-off of the series. Yeah, I know the difference between him and Kevin Costner. But when he was doing that one movie, some rom-com with Anne Hesh, I can't remember the name of it, but it was based off of Hawaii, and he was flying her around and all this stuff. Well, he had to actually go out and get his pilot's license, probably in early 2000s. Okay. He fell in love with aviation. And now he's a big star, so he had all like the training and was able to take the time he needed to get his pilot's license, but he still had to build up hours to get his commercial and all his different designations. Yeah. So he got into flying like the charity flights or the rescue flights. You've got a kid that needs to get from this hospital to there, somebody's at this place and they need to get there. And so he started doing that. And it just occurred to me when thinking about Hulk Hogan, like pulling you out of a crunched up vehicle, how cool would it be to have Harrison Ford, the pilot of the Millennium Falcon, flying you from Calgary to Edmonton, right? Look up at the guy that's saving you on your worst day, and it's Harrison freaking Ford. I don't know. I just thought it'd be kind of cool, right?
Yeah, no, I think that's a cool story. And you hear sometimes stories of that, like these Hollywood superstars, big names, helping people out. In Buffalo last week, guys were towing people in the snow. I don't know if that counts, but that Bills Mafia was pretty excited when Buffalo Bill players were just towing guys out of the snow and on their way home after the game and stuff. That's pretty fun. But Sheldon, before we go, you picked up a little talent before the holidays. I want to bring it back up.
Yeah, I'll jump in here. So one of the
you
things I always like to do, I always like to keep life interesting. Like that's why I went and got my pilot's license a few years ago. I always like to keep challenging myself because, you know, like Chev, when we were younger and you'd look at a guy that's in his 50s and 60s and 40s, 50s, and they looked old to you. And I always thought that once you're past your football days, you get old. I don't ever want to get old. I want to keep challenging myself. I want to keep doing stuff. And so my son and I picked up Rubik's Cubes.
Okay.
And we challenged ourselves that over Christmas, we're going to do the Rubik's Cube. And I can now do it in 2 minutes or less.
Let me see. So
you want me to do it on the air? Because I probably could.
Yeah, I want you to do it on the air.
Oh, sorry. Let's see.
Well, I want you to do it on the air. I want to see. So it's 17 minutes. So you're going to start right now. You're going to do it on the air.
That's a lot of pressure doing it on the air, though.
Yeah. Well, you know, I learned how to long snap 20 years ago, and that's about the only skill I've ever picked up since. So doing a Rubik's Cube is quite, it's quite intimidating to me. But what I would like to learn that you also know how to do is play guitar. I've thought about that for a long time. If I could play guitar, that'd be cool.
I got my son an electric guitar for Christmas too, so we've been playing that every day.
So you're gonna bring that out on the show next time, and once you solve the Rubik's Cube?
Yeah, I've got a few ideas for you, Chev. I'm going to do something that I'm going to challenge you to do something. And what I want you to do is maybe get on the air and do some karaoke. I want to hear you sing in front of a crowd one time because you're great at podcasting, you're great at public speaking, but I've never seen you sing in front of a crowd before.
See, so my problem is you're going to challenge me, and I'm just not going to do it because I'm just.
Well, once you do it, you're distracting me, Chev. Once you do that, then yeah, maybe I'll break out the guitar and play a song.
Yeah, well, you know, Jenna just mentioned that you are multi-talented, and apparently this karaoke thing is picking up wheels. I don't know if I can sing. I did Guns N' Roses, "Sweet Child of Mine" for karaoke once, and that was about the extent of it. But yeah, I don't have too many talents. You know, everything I ever learned was between my legs. I have a actual story.
What was that? Sorry.
Yeah. One day I was challenged to shoot with a BB gun, and I was at a campfire, and I couldn't hit the can from across the fire. And the joke of the night was everything I do better between my legs. So then the next thing you know is I grab the BB gun, I bend over, and I aim between my legs, and I shoot through the fire, which I could barely see the can, and I hit it. And everyone just was like roaring, right? Like it was like, oh my God, you did it. And but I thought it was luck. So I did it again. And I bent over, I pointed the gun between my legs. And the next thing you know, I hit the can again. And it's become a talent that I have that I could sharpshoot from between my legs. So every movie with a sniper in it, just picture me taking people out, bent over with the gun between my legs. How are we doing? Oh, solved. There you go.
Yeah, anybody can do it.
Just about 2 minutes.
It's one of those things. My whole life, I had a Rubik's Cube as a kid, and I absolutely hated it because I felt dumb. Right? But yeah, anybody can do it. I'll give yourself 2 days. Give yourself a day. You'll be solving it in less than 5 to 10 minutes.
I'm looking at the comments here. Rob Evans says maybe I could borrow one of his guitars. He has 15 of them. Can you play all 15?
Rob, I think you and I got to get to know each other a little bit here too, because I'm quite familiar with jam nights and playing with some buddies. So it sounds like if you got 15 of them, you know what you're doing.
Well, you know, I bought this program for my Xbox a few years ago. It's called Rocksmith, and it's supposed to be able to teach you how to play guitar. It's not rock guitar, not one of those ones with the fake guitars. You actually plug a real guitar into it and you tune it and you play it. But again, like everything I ever want to do in life, I just don't have the time. Maybe one day when my kids are older and they're not into all the sports, I'm going to do something special like the Rubik's Cube or guitar. For those of you still with us, thanks so much for joining us. We're live every second Tuesday, 11 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on the NGBN.TV network. We're going to have our sneak peek on January 29th. That's where you can download the app onto all your devices. We want 10,000 downloads. So Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, Spotify, iHeartRadio, anywhere you have connected TV, we want you to download the app 24/7 on-demand content, live content. We're going to have sports. Our goal is to entertain, educate, and inspire men in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. Sheldon, I think we're almost at the end of overtime. Overtime. Oh no, we're not done because overtime ends when you score, right? And I think,
dude, I just scored.
Yeah, well, you did, but we got to talk about before we go some of the matchups coming up this weekend.
Sure.
Who you like, who you don't like. We got some of the divisional playoff rounds. We got 4 games going on. Houston's Ravens. Who do you like?
I love CJ Stroud. I love what he did. He's the most exciting new quarterback to come out in the last 3-4 years. Very excited about that game. And I think he's going to do really well. But the Ravens are they've got too much going on right now. They're dialed in. I don't see any upsets coming in the big 2 games.
Gosh, I want to be confrontational with you. Like I want to be
you got to be honest though, right?
But I got to be honest. The Ravens beat everyone this year. The reason Lamar Jackson at one point, everyone said he is the MVP is because he beat everyone. He beat every team that they put in front of him, and he beat them handily. So, yeah, I'm with you on the Ravens. The next game on Saturday to be played is the NFC contest, the 49ers, Green Bay Packers. What are you thinking about this one?
Niners.
Because
not even close.
See,
Green Bay looked good, but I just don't. What we saw, it was an exciting, fun weekend of football that we just watched, but I didn't see any team stand out and say, we're ready to be the big dogs. I just didn't see enough from them.
I don't know. So if I'm picking teams, I'm picking Green Bay this week. That would be my underdog pick based on the strength of not just how they played last week, but their body of work over the last few weeks. Jordan Love's been playing amazing. What's the running back's name? Aaron Jones. He had a fantastic game. I think they have a lot that they can build on. Now, do I think the 49ers will be as ill prepared as the Cowboys were last week? No, I don't think.
I looked at the Niners last year, and they went into the playoffs super strong. Their stars performed. Young Brock Purdy, his first year, was exceptional until he got injured. So that team's ready to go. Well coached.
Yeah,
stars are aligning.
But
here's the interesting one to me though, because you said it earlier. But if we're looking at Bucks versus the Lions, and you're liking the Lions.
Oh yeah. No, I'm liking the Lions. The Rams were coming on strong at the end of the season. Matt Stafford was showing the form that he had a couple of years ago before the injury, and he was playing like it. And the Lions had to play their best football, mistake-free, and they did. I don't think I loved what the Buccaneers did against the Eagles. I love Baker Mayfield's game. They looked impressive. I just don't know if the Buccaneers can play as complete a game as the Rams played against Detroit. And if you can't match what the Rams did last week, well, then I think Detroit can handle it. And Detroit's been handling some tough teams all year. I like their energy. They're the feel-good story of the postseason. And I do hope that they could go all the way to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'd like to see it. It's Detroit. I didn't watch them much this season. I didn't follow them, but that's what made them such a great story to me, to see them, what they're actually able to accomplish. I don't have the same confidence. I'm probably going to go with the Bucks on this one. The last one, Chiefs and the Bills. Mahomes looked good enough to get the win. The Chiefs looked good enough to get the win. Going into this, now they're going to be on the road for the first time in his playoff history, going into Buffalo. What do you think? And Buffalo might even be favored. Is Buffalo favored this week?
I believe they are. And as good as Buffalo's playing, and as good as they looked last weekend, and as good, like this could be Buffalo's year, but I just have this thing that the Chiefs are built for this. They are built for this. For me, Patrick Mahomes and his team, when I'm looking to pick, I apply the Tom Brady philosophy is don't bet against Brady. I don't care. I know Brady lost over the number of years, but anytime I've ever picked against Brady, he's won. So I've had this mentality whenever he was in a game, I just don't bet against him. I'm not betting against Mahomes and the Chiefs in this game because they know how to beat the Bills. Even though they lost to them this year, they know how to beat that team in big games. And the Bills have not proven that they could win that big game against the Chiefs yet. So I'm going to pick the Chiefs until the Bills prove me otherwise, and then we'll see next week. What about you?
You're stealing my thunder on that one. That's my same thought process, and it probably should be coined at this point, the Brady effect, because it was 10 years ago that I started betting against Brady. Where, well, you know what, they're trailing off at the end of the season. Maybe this is the year he doesn't have it. No, he's got it. And Mahomes, he's got it. I mean, I would love to see the Bills come in at home, a blue collar team. But if they're coming in, they're their best when they're 6-6, midpoint of the season this year, and everybody was questioning if they'd even make it into the playoffs. If you remember during the game, they had the graphic up there that at week 12 they had a 5% chance of making the playoffs. Yeah. They really rallied behind their identity.
Yeah.
And they had something to work for. But is that magic going to continue into the playoffs when they're favored and at home and in an uncomfortable situation of being the team? No, I'm same thing. I will not bet against Mahomes. If Buffalo wins, which they could, good for them. But I will not bet against the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm not betting against Mahomes. Too powerful, too strong. That's all I've got for today, Sheldon. You got anything else before we head out?
No, Chev, I think that's it, man. I'll tell you, it was good connecting because, for those of you that are following us regularly, it has been, I guess it's been a month.
It's been right. A month.
We've taken a little bit of time off with everything we had going there over the Christmas season. So, Chev, it's great to be back, guys. I love the comments. We got to as many as we could. I'm so appreciative that you guys are back with us here in 2024. And trust me, we've got some great things coming out for you this year. We're going to be, like I said, we're going to be TV stars, Chev. We're going to be on TV in
big shout out
3 weeks.
3 weeks. Big shout out to our producer, Jenna. She gets all the graphics up. She gets us going. She gave us the little shocker for the sneak a peek. We love that. And we're just excited for where this is going. Again, our goal, and it's always going to be our goal, is to save men's lives. And I know that my relationship with you, Sheldon, has gotten me out of some dark places. And I hope that yours with me has gotten you out of some dark places. And I hope that we can even be just even for some of you listening, a little glimmer of light, like, hey, you know what? I want to watch these guys next week. I want to watch these guys in a couple of weeks. And that's important for us. That's important that people have a place to turn. That's what this network is, the NGBN network. That's what it's about. And when we launch after January, after that sneak peek, we're going to be able to hit a broader audience. And you guys were here from the start. So thanks, everyone. We're going to be back in a couple of weeks. Sheldon solved the Rubik's Cube. You can follow us on our socials at Chevy and Nasty. I guess in a few weeks, we're going to be going into the divisional or the semifinals just before the Super Bowl kicks off. So thanks for joining us, everyone. And we are out.